It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He's Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. It's Tuesday. Hello, Gary. How are you?
I'm busy here.
Don't
bother me.
All right.
Sitting here looking here. Some interesting details from the Atlantic's profile of Representative Jasmine Crockett, my congressperson here. And normally I wouldn't start with Jasmine Crockett and the Atlantic's article, but for some reason, our listeners enjoy so much that by a margin of just 3 blocks, she is my Congress.
Well, I enjoy.
She is my representative.
I enjoy
Congress
too, except I try and temper that enjoyment because my fear is that it'll come back at me because after redistricting, somehow I'll end up in her district.
And I'll be out.
And you won't be.
I'll be out. I'll be back into a Republican district.
Yeah. I'm currently in Beth Van Dyne's district, which is great, and I'm happy about that. But the one thing that has happened is you're blocked in by 3 blocks in her district, and I'm blocked into Beth Van Dyne's district by I think it's a few blocks. I think if I move.
You can't move.
It's like you don't go anywhere, and so it could change after redistricting. I don't know. It's we'll see what happens.
So normally an article on her, I would pay attention to it because she is one of the leaders of the Democratic Party, and I say leaders by the fact that she gets she and AOC, Bernie. Is Bernie taking a summer nap? I haven't heard from Bernie in a month or so.
Bernie is, you know how some actors, like Ron Howard, become the producer. You really don't see them anymore, but they're a huge part of making things happen. I think it's that. I think he's kind of gone to the background, and he's just, he's on his oligarchy tour on his private jet, but just doesn't want to be in the forefront anymore. I'm guessing because that's kind of where it's been.
So I'm just reading here some of the interesting details from the Atlantic's profile on Representative Jasmine Crockett. She tried to shut down the profile after the reporter called a number of her colleagues in the House, and it got back to her. It's like, you guys got to shut this down. Remember, the Atlantic is not a conservative or Republican media outlet at all. But this is the one I like. Her phone's lock screen is a photo of herself.
Yeah, that's really weird, isn't it? And I told you we were talking about this in the pre-show meeting. And normally, I don't proactively look over people's shoulders when I'm sitting on a plane, whatever they're looking at. A lot of people bring their own device and watch a movie on their device, right? So this guy gets on the plane. Earlier this year, I was on a trip, and he gets on the plane. He's in front of me, and he holds his phone up, and it just kind of got my attention, and I just happened to be my eyes were in that direction. And same thing, his lock screen, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, the guy on his phone looks just like him. Oh, that is him. Is that a thing? It's the last thing I'd want to look at. When you accidentally hit on your camera on your phone, it turns around to selfie and you go, whoa, it just kind of,
no,
you know what I mean? Like, no,
and
don't show that.
And you're amazed. Are you like me? Are you amazed how bad you look when that happens?
Oh, yes.
I look at I'm like, I need to back off. I've always said distance and darkness are my best cosmetics.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, no. There's a certain length you have to be away from my face to not be personally offended by my own face.
Yeah.
It's like, could you move that back a little bit? Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, I look all right there.
Yeah.
And why? Well, you can't see a lot of detail.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there are people online that will do videos and it's clearly a selfie video and they're way too close. Way too close. It's like their head fills the entire screen. Yeah. So I don't. It doesn't shock me that her lock screen is a picture of herself. That doesn't shock me.
When I worked in when I was, I mean, a few of my local jobs I worked at did, TV ads for my show, and they did it when I worked in Buffalo. They did it, and I remember going down. We went down to Atlanta to film the commercials, and I think it was 2 30-second commercials.
Yeah.
And the cameras, I'm in this studio, and the cameras, there's a couple of cameras there, and they're a foot from your face.
Right.
I'm like, aren't these too close? No, we know what we're doing. Okay, well, they must know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
The commercials came out, and I never heard any complaints about my face except for me. But it was like my face filled the entire screen. It wasn't like you saw my, there I appeared and there's my face, and behind me you could see stuff behind me like a radio studio or something like that.
Right.
It was right there in my face.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, this is horrible. And then the worst part was they used to play him during Bills games. Well, anybody knows about Buffalo.
Yeah. So everybody is in town is watching.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And that was there were a couple of times. One time when I worked in Florida at a rock station, they did TV commercials, and I remember being in a mall and they were all teenage girls, and I didn't even know that the commercials were playing. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of TV back then. I mean,
right.
I lived on the beach and had 3-4 channels or something like that. And I remember being in the mall and all these young teenagers, giggling and pointing at me, and I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What's this about? And then I realized, oh no, they know who I am.
Oh no.
But now that was okay in rock radio.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's
all right.
When you get into talk radio,
mm-hmm.
and anything, even though I've said, as you and I've said this before, nothing that we believe is radical.
Right.
And
but you just never know.
Yeah, we've often said that, but
Yeah.
people take it as being, if you're the opposition, they take it as being radical.
Right.
And we've actually got to the point of, for a long time, for years, I've been saying, tell me one position I have that is viewed as a radical position. And nobody ever has.
Right.
Because I don't think that any position that we hold is radical in the slightest.
Right. But if somebody recognizes you from talk radio, it's like, who goes there? Friend or foe?
Couldn't go to a bar.
And
especially, you can't go to a bar once people automatically, you're that jerk.
Yeah.
And then I look back completely sober and say, I'm not that jerk. I'll fight you right now, buddy.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I never did that.
Then from the end of the bar, you hear, and I hate the color orange. It's like, oh, this is not going to end well.
I told you the one time after golf one time, was in a place where all my golfing buddies hung out.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody brought up politics or something like that. And I said, and there was a guy who was really drunk who could hear the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody asked me, and it was about the right to vote or something like that. And I said, well, actually, there's no right to vote for president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really exist. That the legislature, states choose to have people vote in the Electoral College and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But, it isn't a right for the individual. The states choose, how they will pick a president. This guy went bonkers.
Just went off.
He just went off. How are you to say there's no right to vote? You communist, you commie. He didn't say pinko, though, because I'm not a commie, but maybe he thought I was a commie pinko, which is commie adjacent.
Right, exactly.
And I was like, okay. I was like, bye. Turn around, walk right out.
Yeah.
You coward, come back. Yeah. I'm going to get into a fight with a drunk over how the Constitution views voting for the president of the United States.
Right.
And, of course, there's a right to vote, as we talk about. But when it comes to the president, I was making a technical point. He was so drunk, it was no technical point.
Yeah, no, there are no technical. I'll show you the technical points.
There was no technical point at all there. But for Jasmine Crockett, some interesting details. The Atlantic's profile: her phone's lock screen is a photo of herself. She thought she deserved to be the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee because she has the largest social media following. And she tried to shut down the profile, the article, after a reporter called a number of her colleagues in the House. She allegedly told The Atlantic she was shutting down its profile of her after learning the author had reached out to other Democrats without telling her. Staff writer Elaine Godfrey described in an article on Sunday that Crockett called her 4 days before the piece was published to express frustration that I had reached out to so many House members without telling her first. She told me, shutting down the profile and revoking all permissions. I didn't know that you could revoke permissions. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
Despite this assertion, the article was published and included comments from both Crockett and other Democratic figures. Democrats quoted in the article, including progressive strategist Max Burns. They have a whole bunch of other people there, James Carville, among others. Godfrey added that she reached out to several other Democrats who seemed uninterested in commenting. 13 of her colleagues on the Oversight and Judiciary Committee, along with 20 other Democratic members I contacted for this story, either declined to talk to me on the record or didn't respond to the interview request. Senior staffers for 3 Democratic members told me that some of Crockett's colleagues see her as undisciplined but are reluctant to criticize her publicly. She likes to talk, one staffer said. Is she a loose cannon sometimes? Does she cause headaches for other members? 100%.
Yep.
Now, that did not catch my eye the most. Most was the Fox News story. And Jesse Waters had it, of Swalwell on social media posting himself weightlifting.
Yeah.
That I like, and the headline, the banner was "Sweaty Swalwell."
Yeah, it's just weird.
And he was on there saying, "What women take selfies when they're working out? Men don't take selfies when they're working out."
Yeah.
And
I've been trying to figure out how to disable my selfie mode on my camera. How do I keep that from turning around? It's just a weird thing, but that's, you and I have been saying it. I said specifically about Jasmine Crockett and others, and AOC's the same, is that they're trying to build their own profile. This is what they're trying to do. Doesn't shock me, the story about her, believing, she should head a committee because she has the largest following on social media.
No, that actually fits.
That's exactly it.
In 2025, doesn't it?
They believe it's a popularity contest, full stop, and it doesn't matter. The issues clearly don't matter. And that's what it's all about. It's interesting because Trump's been around for decades, long before he became president. I don't know that I've ever seen a picture of a selfie. There's tons of pictures of him. Mm-hmm. He's in a ton of pictures. He puts his name on everything that he owns.
It's his brand.
Still doesn't take selfies.
Yeah, other people may take selfies with him.
Everybody gets in line to get a photograph, but it's not him holding the camera going, "Hey, everybody." And that's a huge difference.
He should take a selfie, though, next to the what is it, Golf Cart 1?
Oh, my gosh, yes. Golf Force 1?
Golf Force 1, that's what it is, Golf Force 1.
I need one of those. I totally need one of those now,
I golf, I want one of those.
Oh, yeah.
We can all party inside of it because you can't see inside.
You can't see anything.
Then go try to hit a golf ball.
Exactly.
I never forget. I went golfing one time with these people. I invited them out, and it was actually early in the morning. And these guys were just. I don't drink much at all anyway, but I don't drink when I golf.
Right.
I mean, I mentioned the other day, it's like the only time I ever drink is if I'm playing horrible, and that wouldn't be till the 13th, 14th, or 15th hole when I know it's a complete waste of time.
Right.
And I'm just so frustrated. I go, okay, give me a beer, and I don't have time to get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
This one guy, he's in the cart with me, and he's just plastered. He gets out, tries to hit the ball, misses it completely, spins around, and falls right down the middle of the fairway.
Yeah. Yeah, see?
Dude, you need to stop drinking.
Yeah.
I remember looking at him saying, sometimes drinking doesn't help the golf game.
Exactly.
Sometimes it isn't swing lubrication.
Yeah.
It's swing inebriation.
Exactly.
But he spun around like a top and then fell right over.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you this: if I had Golf Force One, I'd add one thing: a set of exhaust stacks, like a big rig.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just to top it up. They wouldn't even be real.
Now, here's my question.
Huh.
I mean, I'd love to see the specs of it.
Yeah,
but more importantly, how much did that cost?
Oh yeah, because it's armored, right? It's everything.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Now somebody's got to start marketing those. I bet the elite will have them. I don't even want it for golf. I don't care about golf. I just want one of those.
Drive it around.
Exactly.
Well, move to the villages.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I
Do you
just
remember
drive it around the villages.
Very quickly, was it 2016? Remember when in the villages, I think it was, where you had the people, for the presidential.
Yeah.
They were on the go-karts, the golf carts.
The golf carts, yeah.
Screaming at each other.
Oh, yeah.
I want Trump. No,
yeah.
I want.
That's right.
It was Hillary. And they're all on golf carts. 866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. On a hot summer day, the last thing you want to feel is a blast of warm air when you turn on your air conditioning. A malfunctioning AC system will leave you uncomfortably shifting in your seat. Not to mention, it can affect the safety and performance of your entire vehicle and your productivity. When issues with your AC system begin to occur internally, your truck will give you some warning signs. Those include a noisy compressor and a lack of water dripping from the cab drain tube while your AC is running. If you experience either of these warning signs, you should have your AC system inspected by a professional technician immediately. Listen to your truck and invest the time now to avoid spending more time in the shop later on.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up on the bottom of the hour, it looks like the whole Russia collusion hoax has a little bit of legs, which I like.
It really is interesting how there are more and more things coming out.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be one of those, because you and I have talked about how in the past, we talked over the years, like to people in our personal lives, and you're talking to them and you're trying to explain everything, and they're not familiar with every detail. You and I have been studying the work done by, a countless, it seems, a couple of dozen people along the way. Really great work, but we've been following those details from the beginning. So we are very familiar with it. And then you start talking to people in the room, and their eyes kind of glaze over because it gets very detailed. And for that reason, I thought, all right, things are going to come out, then it's going to move on. Mm-hmm. But it's not happening that way.
Plus, an X post that we have to read, or an X comment.
Okay.
Response.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. So got this response yesterday, and I believe it was to our 20-year thing. You know,
okay.
The fact that 20-year in the article, nice article written by Barrett Media. Stanley wrote this, and I burst out laughing when I read this. You got it too. Okay. Why can't talk radio force Congress to cut spending, raise taxes, and balance its budget? Rush Limbaugh went national in 1988, but the government has only gotten bigger in the past 37 years. Doesn't anyone in talk radio know how to communicate?
No, we don't. You got us.
It's our fault.
It's all a ruse. Yeah. Nah. Oh, well.
I just love it.
What are you going to do? Because by the way, that's exactly how it works. That's exactly how all of this works.
Why can't talk radio force Congress to cut spending, raise taxes, and balance its budget?
Exactly. Well,
what is my question was when I read that, I was laughing all day after I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, what's the enforcement mechanism?
Well,
what, Congress? You're not doing what we're saying? All right, Eric, how do we force them to cut spending?
As enormously powerful as we are,
right?
They just don't listen.
Well, it's not about them listening and then doing it. He wonders why we can't force Congress to do it.
Yeah.
Not why we don't have the communication skill. Well, later on, it's also that we don't have the communication skills, apparently, to make Congress do it. But he starts out by saying, why can't talk radio force Congress to cut spending?
Yeah.
Well, the four branches of government, executive, legislative, judicial,
Mom Downey,
conservative talk radio.
Yeah. And that one, too.
I mean, it's...
Yeah.
So the fact that we have a message of, and by the way, you do have some conservative Republican talk radio talking about cut spending, but a lot less than you did a few years back. I will say that.
Well, and here's the thing. When it comes to fiscal conservatives, we're a very small group.
Yeah.
Very small group. Yeah. Even within our massive audience, I think Red Eye Radio has 12 billion people listening.
Yeah.
I think it's 12 billion.
Plus or minus.
Yeah. I don't want to engage in hyperbole, but I'm pretty sure it's
plus or minus 11.9 billion.
Yeah. And so you can, within our conservative base, not everybody is a fiscal conservative.
Well, we read yesterday, we were dying laughing from the Freedom Caucus, patting themselves on the back for all their spending reductions. And we actually had to say, shut up.
The loudest one in the House in the GOP was not even the speaker on this whole thing, on the one big, beautiful bill, was Chip Roy, and he voted for it twice.
Yeah. With promises later for executive action, which we all know will go nowhere.
Yeah, right.
And so everybody's decided to join, the BS on it.
Democrats still get votes and win elections. Kamala Harris got tens of millions of votes.
Jasmine Crockett is my congressperson.
In Texas.
In Texas.
My dad still scratches that. We over the weekend had in his living room our talk show that we do every time I'm there, and he's just, I just don't understand on the Jasmine Crockett thing. Well, he's 92. He's like, in all of my years, I just don't understand, and that's really what it comes down to. How is it that a nation like ours starts out the way it started and then ends up here? Well, because people become conditioned to it's the pathology of dependency, it's the indoctrination and everything else. Make no mistake, we are enormously powerful and influential.
And you know how we know that? We take selfies of ourselves.
Well, I know it because I just heard it on the radio just seconds ago, which is confirmation for me.
Well, looking here, you make a great point, because when you talk about the Democrats and the fact that tens of millions of people support the Democrats. When you look yesterday, there was a lot of analysis on the Wall Street Journal poll the other day, not just on the favorability of Democrats, but on the actual issues. Mm-hmm. And this was the Wall Street Journal poll, and everybody was on it yesterday. CNN was on it, and shocked to report that how dominant President Trump is on foreign policy when compared to Democrats. But when you look at it on the economy, GOP plus 12. Inflation, GOP plus 10. Immigration, GOP plus 17. Illegal immigration, GOP plus 24. Tariffs, GOP plus 7. Foreign policy, GOP plus 8. Ukraine-Russia war, GOP plus 5. Now, that was registered voters done July 16th through the 20th. All right, so you look at that, and you say, well, every major issue. And I'm sure if you hit things like the radical transgender movement, it would also be landslide numbers for the Republicans there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you look at all this. The polls say right now it's even, or the Democrats lead to win in the midterms.
Yeah, right.
How does that make sense?
You know, again,
I mean, when you look at stuff, but that gets to your point that people will sit there and say, here's where I stand on the issues, yet they will vote for the party that believes in the opposite of what they actually want. And it's not like, well, we're just learning what they believe. These now are long-held positions of the Democrats. You know, you and I have been on the air 20 years, and it was really when you saw the Democrats shift about 20 years ago on illegal immigration.
Yeah.
You could see that shift, really, really happen.
Right.
Now we move to, you think about it, in 20 years, we've moved to now Mandami. We've moved to support for communists.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, not a Democrat socialist, not a commie pinko, a commie. Commie pinko is communist sympathizer. No, he's a commie.
Mm-hmm.
He believes government should run business and own the property.
Yep.
And so, you look at yesterday and, some of the questions, with the shooting in New York. Well, it's going to hurt Mandami defund the police and everything else with that shooting yesterday. And I'm like, no, it's not.
No,
it's not. I mean, this is, that one of the questions is gun control. New York City. Is there a place with tougher gun control laws in the entire nation than New York City?
No.
Think it's going to change gun control laws? You think they're going to come up with constitutional carry? You think they're going to say, well, no, look, police can't be there all the time, and if we wish to defund the police, then responsible people should be able to own firearms? No, they're not going to. It's not going to change anything.
No. There are the willfully ignorant, and that doesn't mean just going out of their way to not learn the facts. Some people know the facts and ignore them altogether.
Yeah.
And set them aside and make a decision based on something else, like hatred for one guy, Donald Trump. That's how a Kamala Harris gets tens of millions of votes. Her own party didn't want her. Let's be clear. She wouldn't have been there. But it's how that's the anti-Trump vote.
Her party didn't want her there.
Nope.
They didn't. The Democratic Party didn't trust their own voters.
Yeah. Right.
To have some type of mini primary.
Right.
They knew she was so bad. I believe one of the reasons that they hid the problems with Biden, especially as you got into the campaign season, where they knew that Harris would be worse.
Yeah. Yep.
And you couldn't use age as the reason that she was worse.
Exactly. Right.
Or her cognitive abilities.
Right.
The problem is she has full Democrat cognitive abilities.
Full on. I bet her lock screen is a picture of her.
Jasmine Crockett in 28.
Well, that's the world we live in today. That's it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it know the three branches of government. And you can't make it care.
Which apparently Stanley believes talk radio is the fourth.
Well, exactly. and you can't, that's the thing too, is that forget about forcing Congress. How do you force people to care? They're the ones that force Congress.
Yeah, the voter does.
How do you force people to care? You can't.
No, you can't.
And that's just, again, the world we live in today. Look at how it's breaking down in the demographics. Now, Trump achieved the largest political comeback in American history. If you look at everything that was thrown at him along the way, 24 was a record breaker and a history maker. But how do you make people care when it comes to Congress? The GOP should be, that should have been just a solid sweep in the House, and they should have maybe one or two more, realistically, one or two more seats in the Senate. And it should be growing. I hope we see indication of that in November of next year. I don't have confidence we will.
866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, looks like reporting on the Russia collusion hoax has some legs to it. And, I was looking at, again, there's not really a lot of coverage on the mainstream media about it. It doesn't matter anymore.
No.
That doesn't matter anymore. Everything is online.
Yep.
We've seen it across the board.
Yep.
They don't have the influence, or if they decide not to cover something, they can't hide it anymore.
Right.
And that's one thing that you and I have said probably for well over a decade, especially, when the internet started coming out and then YouTube. And, you and I said, well, we still talk about the fact that these politicians, apparently they don't understand that the internet exists and YouTube exists. And it's easy for anybody out there to say, well, this is what you said 10 years ago, which is 180 degrees different than what you've said today. And,
right.
And so you can't hide it anymore. And it's hot on social media. And if you get zero response from the left, if the left chooses to ignore it, all you're doing on social media Well, number one, you can't on the Russia collusion hoax.
Yeah,
There really
right.
is no argument
Right.
against it. You and I said the other day, there's no reason that the administration or the Republicans should have one bad day in covering this.
Right.
Not one bad day,
Right.
because the facts are on your side all across the board.
And
we
have
know,
been all along. Yeah.
we've known it has been a hoax for years.
Yeah.
And now what you're getting is the paperwork to back it up.
Yep.
And that's what you need for any type of investigation.
Yep.
We'll talk about that more coming up.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning.
Hello. Can't believe it's Tuesday already.
I'm just reading here from Breitbart, from John Nolte. Disgraced fact checker Glenn Kessler out at the Washington Post. He took a buyout.
Yeah. Yeah.
And remember when that all happened? When now nobody talks about fact checkers anymore, do they?
I've
even
said
hear
it a
it
couple
anymore.
times, I think, over the last several months. Well, sorry, Glenn Kessler, but nobody needs the fact checker anymore. And that's really where we are today, because the good news is the bad news is we still have a lot of willfully ignorant people. But the good news is we have seemingly, at least for the moment, more and more people willing to go out and Google the answers. You and I have said, if you're on a debate stage, that one of the tactics should be, go after them on certain hard facts, so that don't worry about, these days, don't worry about, well, CNN did the fact checking. Nobody cares about CNN or the Washington Post or any of them doing fact checking. What you want is people Googling, wait a minute, and really looking for the answer. Did Hillary actually do that? Oh, wow, she did that, and a lot more. But, whatever it might be, you repeat that, and I think we said it in 2016, and repeated that and said, look, just throw these facts down, just do nothing but throw those down. Forget about the question they ask you. Go right back to these facts about her and throw it down every single time. Now, he won in 2016. He didn't use that tactic, but our point was...
He did what in 2016?
He won in 2016.
Oh, okay. Trump, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And, he didn't use that tactic, but our point was the people at that time, and it became very apparent in 2024, by the time 2024, 8 years later, got around, that people were doing their own fact-checking, is that if you lay those facts down, the individuals who have exposure to what you're saying will take that and let their curiosity run. And even if the liberal media try to, do their take on it, they're going to get called out by, again, the everyday fact checker. When Elon Musk said, "You are the media," it's true, because you can find your own information. There isn't a need for a fact checker. I know that the liberal activist media and the legacy media believes there still is, but that's not the case. It really isn't that hard to find the answers if you really want to find them. Now, the hard part is forcing them to care, what we were talking about earlier. And so that's what, you can't do that. You can only lay the facts down and then have people follow up. Okay, is that actually what's going on? Well, Michael Rappaport, great example. Now, we don't know what took so long because I think he said it was March of 2024 when he finally looked up the facts on Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, they've been lying about this the whole time. And it was like, well, we knew from day one they were. Now, we're glad because it's highly entertaining to watch him rant. Not safe for work or children. Plenty of expletives involved. Yeah. But it's very entertaining to watch him rant. And he's come over from the dark side and into the light. And that's a good thing because he was he was as angry as a liberal as he now is as I'll say more conservative. I don't know exactly where he stands on all the issues, but it appears that he certainly leans more right.
Well, what drove him nuts was really Bragg, wasn't it? Bragg and the crime that was happening
exactly. That was
in New York City.
Maybe, I don't know. I can't recall if that was about the that's a great point. If that was about the same time, spring of 20, well, no, I think that happened even before that. But maybe that's what led him to, in the spring of 24, looking up the facts for Charlottesville and discovering that was a big series of lies, by the way, that they're still telling today in some circles on the left. But that's the whole point, is that it's out there. I think that happened with the rank and file. The reason we go back to Rappaport is because it's an example of going really a 180, but it's also an indicator. In other words, the question would be from the beginning, how many people, rank and file, non-celebrities, are in that same boat and discovered things on their own, and of course don't have the profile that a Rappaport has on social media, and so they're just quietly changing their minds about everything. Well, we saw the results at election time in 2024.
Well, I think that fact checking was actually a perfect microcosm of the Democratic Party and liberalism, which is, let us set up the imagery that there is a group or a set of fact checkers that the liberal media that will come out with, that will basically be the echo chamber for the liberal media, but we'll set it as another step to try to have legitimacy for the lies that we have been throwing out there.
Yeah.
And to me, it fit perfect with the imagery of, well, okay, we know that there's a problem, so we're going to have fact checkers that will fact check. And John Nolte here writes in Breitbart, during his first term in office, Obama never visited Israel. He did not. Obama jetted all over the Middle East, but never bothered to visit Israel. That's a fact. And so during the 2012 presidential election, Obama's Republican opponent, Mitt Romney, ran a campaign ad pointing out Obama did not visit Israel during his first term, and the Washington Post fact checker Glenn Kessler still called Romney a liar. That's Glenn Kessler in a nutshell. The effort he put into disgracing himself was something to see. Thankfully, the moral arc of the universe does indeed bend towards justice, so Glenn Kessler just got blanked. Kessler took a buyout and announced that he will officially stop serial lying on the pages of the far-left Washington Post at the end of the month. After more than 27 years at the Washington Post, including almost 15 as fact checker, I'll be leaving on July 31st, having taken a buyout. Much as I would like to keep scrutinizing politicians in Washington, especially in this era, the financial considerations were impossible to dismiss. Kessler's legacy is nothing less than the clown who destroyed fact-checking. And for that, we should be grateful. fact checkers destroyed themselves.
Well, no, it's a great point.
Right. I've been railing against media fact checking for more than 20 years. From day one, it was obvious the media would pervert a good idea to protect the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Fact checking was about protecting
Yes.
their own propaganda and protecting Democrats. It was not about fact checking, but it was the imagery of fact checking.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, let's throw another level
Let's
here.
call it fact checking. Yeah.
Another level of these are the people that are actually fact checking what's going on. Horse hockey, as Colonel Potter used to say.
You know, and again, they call it that. It just like everything else on the left, they call it something, and it's quite the opposite. They name it something, and it's quite the opposite. But they also take on this attitude, and it's implied that, look, only we can fact check. We have the resources to fact check. You don't need to be Googling all of that. You don't need to be looking up things. We can do that here, and we'll tell you the truth. I would add to it polling. The pollsters who consistently get it wrong, election after election after election, and don't change their methodology in order to become more accurate. Why would that be? There's only one reason: to manipulate.
This is a perfect example. Listen to this. He goes, my favorite example. Under Kessler's management of the Post fact-checking column, when then Republican presidential candidate Carly Fiorina stated with 100% accuracy that she began her amazing business career as a secretary. She was ridiculed as a liar with 3 out of 4 Pinocchios, even though the fact check agreed she started out as a secretary.
Right. Yeah.
Here it is. She worked as a receptionist at a hair salon to pay for college room and board. During summers off from Stanford, she says she worked secretarial jobs through the temp agency Kelly Services. One of her temp jobs was typing bills of lading at a shipping department at Hewlett-Packard. She worked briefly as a secretary in between law school and business school, but she always intended to attend graduate school for her career. There was no lie that Kessler would not eagerly spread to undermine the appeal of a Republican when it came to defending Democrats from criticism. He was something beyond shameless. But there it was right there. Well, she said, I started as a secretary.
Yeah.
And they says she started as a secretary, but she also worked other jobs. She didn't say she didn't work other
She
jobs.
never said she didn't.
But this was the propaganda that was set up. This was the imagery that it's not propaganda because we have our own independent fact checkers.
Yeah.
What was the other word they used? What's the other word they used besides fact checker early on? Oh, I can't think of the other word. The people at the newspaper that would scrutinize the newspaper themselves.
Yeah.
Ombudsman.
Yeah.
The ombudsman.
Yeah.
And it's like, God, just throw out labels that are basically saying we're going to feed you a line of horse manure.
While trying to, again, make people believe that they're above the fray and they're the ones who will take all into consideration and only they have the resources to find the truth. And it's like, shut up. Google.
But be careful with AI, though.
Oh, AI gets things wrong. all the time.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Well, no, there were so many things like last week, we had a number of celebrity deaths, and I forget what it was that I Googled about something, and it's like AI had it wrong. And then right below the AI, you get all the other results. And there's videos proving AI wrong right below it. I watched the video, I was like, well, AI said that it never happened.
I was looking up just a bunch of fluff on different bands, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they never did that.
No, exactly.
They didn't do that song.
Yeah.
That's not their album.
Right.
I was going through them like, wow, they're getting, there's, and all they do is it's just collecting everything on the internet and, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
And it's like, okay, guys, you need to do some more. I guess my point would be, if AI is screwing this up, if AI is simply collecting all the data, whether accurate or not, and throwing it out there,
Yeah.
well, then we haven't improved.
Well, that's the thing. It's not a thing.
I'd rather
exactly.
I'd rather have Google where I put it into Google and then they give me the different articles and then I know where the buy. Well, that's what I do, by the way. I made it sound like it was a hypothetical because then I can see the article that was written and then I can see the person who wrote the article. I can see the media establishment they work for and I can say, okay, what's their perceived bias? But I can read a number of articles and can come much closer to the truth than the immediacy of AI, which is garbage in, garbage out on Google.
Well, that's the thing, too, is that if there is bias, that we've seen the bias in the fact-checking and the earlier points made here about Glenn Kessler, you think it doesn't happen at Google? Of course, the shaping of the results has been happening on Google searches probably from the beginning. So it's why it's harder to find certain things and find the truth. Because, again, if the majority of the sources out there are saying false things, repeating the same lie, then AI is going to repeat that lie. Because 80% of the interwebs says it. It must be true. But it's the lazy approach. There's one thing. It's one thing to become more efficient and want to be more efficient. But the laziness of going, oh, well, we'll just see what happens. Just throw it in the blender and see what it comes out. Oh, well, it's like, I mean, it is if there isn't critical thinking by the human involved, again, the willingness, when we talk about not being able to force people to care, you've got to care to find the truth. And don't stop with the one AI result at the top of the Google results. No, keep looking. Keep looking.
Nobody has said that to me yet. Guys, you were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know we were wrong? Because I went to AI.
Yeah.
Google AI. Oh,
right.
Okay. Well,
right. And it doesn't matter. All the different AI programs do the same thing. They're collecting whatever garbage is out there.
866-90 Red Eye.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
Most owner-operators leased to larger carriers are paid on a per-mile basis or a percentage of revenue per load. The per-mile basis is most prevalent among larger fleets, percentage at smaller. Pay per mile tends to dominate discussions about pay just because it's easier to measure, and pay per mile often is wrongly used as the deciding factor in leasing to a carrier. While pay per mile can be a vital factor, it's not a cure for every ill, nor does it mean a big settlement check is coming an owner-operator's way. Why? Because pay per mile always must be considered in balance with gross revenue as well as total costs. Gross revenue can include flat mileage pay that varies by length of haul, percentage revenue pay, and more. Most importantly, though, for every revenue dollar generated, only part of that dollar is profit. But for every extra dollar of cost saved, the entire dollar contributes to profit. Knowing and understanding your cost to operate is fundamental to understanding the true value of any pay package. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more details on this and many other topics. Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carney, and I'm Gary McNamara. But yeah, the interesting really thing about it is liberal fact-checking destroyed liberal fact-checking.
Yeah, it did.
And that's really, I think, the ironic thing about it. Because does anybody talk about fact-checking anymore?
No.
Let me say, well, the fact-checkers have said.
No.
Now, we used to have a blast with it because he would have, 3 out of 4 Pinocchios, and we would tear it apart.
Right.
And so we had we loved the fact-checkers because we loved fact-checking the fact-checkers.
Well, and it was, I think, it was one of the last times we really went to the Glenn Kessler thing, and it was endless Pinocchios for what was it? bottomless Pinocchios for
Biden?
Yeah, for Biden.
Yeah.
He just is like, all right, permanent Pinocchios.
Yeah, that was the best.
Yeah.
Because the bottomless was the best, because he never did that even for Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like, no,
exactly.
bottomless Pinocchios.
Bottomless Pinocchios, which sounds like some kind of weird appetizer you get at a bar. It's
or a strip joint.
Or I was going to say, it could be one of the acts at some of those bars. Please welcome to the stage, Bottomless Pinocchio.
Catch all 5 hours of the show live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and wherever you choose.
And thank you.
So there you go. President Trump now saying he's going to give Vladimir Putin only another 10 to 12 days to reach a ceasefire with Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
We had wondered, when he did the 50-day thing, we're like,
That's a long time.
That's a long time, and I doubt he's going to take you serious on that. Now, what's going to happen? Right now, they're looking at they're ready to put in the Senate bill from Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal for 500% secondary tariffs that would hit China and India especially hard if they buy Russian oil.
Right. Yeah.
And so is that what he's planning on doing? I have to assume one of the things that we have said, and CNN talked about it yesterday, that that on foreign policy, Republicans are looking great, but Trump is looking great on this. I know that the MAGA folks don't like the Epstein thing.
Right.
They did not like the Iran thing.
Right.
And they, in all likelihood, don't like where the president is going here. That's why you see that the influencers are so quiet on this. They don't agree with it. They always thought, they loved the Zelensky meeting.
Yeah.
You and I always thought, okay, he's negotiating here. He's not. Let me put it this way: he's giving them as much rope until he no longer will give them a rope,
which is something he does repeatedly.
Right. On foreign policy, he's actually been quite consistent. And as we've said, and I know we've said this a lot of times, but it bears repeating over and over again because so many people have got it so wrong. When you had the, as we say, always Trumpers basically try to put out the message that he's an isolationist, you and I said, he's not. We don't know where they're coming from. Haven't they paid attention to what he did in the first administration, especially with Soleimani?
Mm-hmm.
He wants to do it differently. He doesn't want boots on the ground. He only wants that as a last resort. But he's going to take, American military power and use it as he did against Iran to accomplish the same thing as putting boots on the ground. And I can't look. We feel totally free to criticize the president when we disagree with him. So I hope that gives us credibility when we say he's, on Iran. When you think about all the buildup to that and all the criticism that he took, and then when he did it, the criticism that he took that was gone, a week later, there was no discussion on Iran at all. None. Zero.
Right.
When you had countries lining up saying, right thing, right thing, right thing, right thing, right thing, right thing, right thing. I think the thing that boggles our mind the most are how his most loyal supporters had no idea, and this gets to something that you've talked about before. People that support Trump but don't have the same opinion as Trump, but claim that they speak for him.
Well, and they seemingly project their opinion onto him and then promote it as his opinion.
Yeah. And he's
not an isolationist.
Yeah. I didn't like. I didn't like the meeting with Zelensky and what happened that day. I didn't think that was the right PR to put out at that moment. But if it got us to the point where we are now, where he seems so determined to say no more leeway for Russia, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, if everything works out in the end.
If it got him to this point of saying, okay, I'm going to demand this of Zelensky, demand this, and give more deference to Putin to see if this strategy works, and it didn't work,
right?
And so he says, okay, enough of it. I've given you enough rope. Well, then what he has done, the same thing he did with Iran, the entire world said, well, it's not like he didn't give Putin a chance.
Right.
It's not like he didn't give the Ayatollah in Iran a chance.
Right.
Obviously, over and over again, he bent backwards at times where we said, my God, is he on their side or what? No, he was just giving them enough rope. And to me, his foreign policy has been, I don't want to compare it to anybody else. I think that's dumb to compare one person's foreign policy to somebody 40 years ago or 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. But he has been right on. And the thing is, the things, I said this a long time ago when the whole John Bolton thing was going on. Mm-hmm. I said, and I agree with you. I think Bolton went in there and wanted to write a book and wanted to do all this.
From the beginning, yeah.
But as I've always said, I would always want to hear what Bolton has to say on what other countries are doing and what our policy should be. Because if you look at where Trump is right now and the things that Trump has done, John Bolton agrees with him on it.
Yeah, right.
And he may have, again, I don't like the way that he went in to the last administration and then wrote the book immediately afterwards.
Right.
Didn't like that at all because it's like, okay,
while Trump was still in office,
right,
he wrote the book. Yeah.
And so you have seen that whatever the reason is, I can't get into Trump's mind. All I know is where he is going now is where he needs to be. It's where he needed to be on Iran, both with Soleimani and the bombing of the nuclear sites. Think about it. The United States bombed Iran's nuclear sites. It's like you're getting, like it was unbelievable that he did that. Yes, compared to where the world was and has been the last 10 years on Iran, it's mind-boggling to where Obama was. Okay, let's have the Iran deal, and let's make sure that they get what they want, but just at a slower pace.
Well,
let's make sure they get a nuclear bomb, but a little bit slower of a pace.
Exactly. And for those of us old enough to go back, 50 years, and you look at the history of it, it's in the back of my mind. It was like, yeah, no one's ever going to do anything about it. And we did. On Russia, we knew that it would likely be sanctions.
Yeah.
This is the big move, the secondary tariffs that hit. And that's likely what it's going to be.
Got to make sure Bolton isn't suggesting we shoot nukes at Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
Just got to make sure. That's
right. Yeah, I would disagree slightly with that.
Yes.
But
we'd be in the no nukes march.
Yes, exactly. Where's my tie-dye T-shirt? It is. The question would be amongst our allies, how many are prepared? Because if you're talking about buying oil from Russia, you still have a great number of countries that are doing that. And what is the measure for the U.S.? Now, they had talked about before when this happened, the U.S. basically fulfilling that demand by selling more oil to those countries to help fill that gap. But there will be that disruption. But that is the game, and I think that is the biggest game that you could play, is to break Russia economically. This is going to be and has to be the game, and you choke them out and to where they become the pariah, and hopefully at that point you break the will of Putin. Does it work? I don't know, but it's your best game.
It worked with the Soviet Union.
Certainly did. Yeah.
When you look back, and you could say, is in his mind to use the Reagan playbook. Again, I don't like going back because it's a different situation now than it was with the
many more moving parts.
Right, with the Soviet Union.
Yeah, right.
But the fact is, economically speaking, can you seriously hurt Russia by cutting back on their ability to sell oil and natural gas? And you can do significant damage. They do not have close to the diversified economy that we have here in the United States.
Right.
A lot of countries don't have the diversified economy like we have in the United States, which is one of our great strengths.
Right. Right.
It's not just oil. Now, for us, it wasn't oil and natural gas, and now oil and natural gas has become a huge potential, not just a potential, but it's become a huge influence of United States power, in the world.
Right. And so,
and one more thing I want to just go ahead if you want to say.
Well, I was just going to say, that would be the only question for me, is that you don't want this massive global disruption on the oil markets, to go for very long. But I assume, because they've talked about it before, that filling that gap by the U.S. would be the goal. I don't know. Maybe also Canada, and other nations.
Well, it would be.
I don't know.
It would be tough. We talked about yesterday with the deal with the EU to provide them $750 billion worth of oil and natural gas.
Based on that deal. Yeah,
the deal. And as was pointed out by some strategists, as we pointed out yesterday, we can't fill that.
Right.
It was $250 billion a year. Is what it was, because the maximum that we export on everything
160 or something like that.
160 to everybody worldwide.
Yeah. So
we can't fulfill that. So if that happens at the same time, or there's more of a demand from the EU and the depletion of Russia, right now we can't do it. And one of the problems is they're not building a lot of new wells right now because they're using the ones that they have. And plus, the cost of steel because of the tariffs is hurting development out there, because oil companies are like, well, let's hold back a little bit.
Right.
Hopefully the steel, because that's you talked about the consensus out there from economists. About half believe the steel tariffs will eventually be gone, and half believe they won't be.
Right.
But at 50%, we now have the highest steel prices on the planet in the United States, and up 16% from just a few months ago.
And I don't see any indication of him pulling back on that.
No.
But then again, things change on a dime. And so I don't know.
Yeah. So, but that would be the challenge. How much of a hurt by putting the secondary tariffs on would be to the United States,
right?
Or with an increase in oil prices, and so the political effect on that. But I believe because they've gone 10 to 12 days, he's decided exactly what he's going to do.
No, I think they have.
50 days gave you some leeway.
Yeah.
10 days gives you no leeway.
Yeah, no, they have a plan.
You've got a plan on what you're going to do.
Yeah.
866-98-RED-EYE.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
Radio. He is Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. The other thing is, too, if they put on those secondary tariffs on China and India, and it would be another, 10 to 12 days away, you're getting then into August where the driving season starts ending, and that might temper oil prices in the United States over the next month.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the timing here is that you kind of want to wait until that demand is going to be drawn down, at least here in the States. And that would help to temper, again, any of the price jump. We'll see where that goes. And also, how long can that withstand a secondary tariff on nations who buy oil from Russia at 100%? And if it happens and it goes into effect immediately, or he gives Russia, let's say, 30 days? I'm guessing you give Russia 30 days, withdraw all your troops. And then it kicks in. Well, when it kicks in,
they're looking
if it ever does,
they're looking for a ceasefire right now.
Right, yeah. But at some point, you want that full withdrawal. You want, you want everything done.
It's got to move forward in some direction.
Exactly.
Right.
And the question is, how long can that withstand on the secondary tariff level? I guess we'll see.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, we are Red Eye Radio. I'm Gary McNamara. Over there is Eric Harley.
Hi.
Hey, what was I looking at here?
What are you looking at?
Well, it looks like that the Russia collusion hoax got a little bit of legs. We had talked about this earlier, and one of the complaints is, well, the media really isn't covering it. That doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
It doesn't matter. People get their news from the internet. Every time the media doesn't cover anything, something that is on the internet, it hurts their credibility. Their credibility is already shot to hell already by, the audience that they have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We've seen what happened to CNN, but when we talk about ABC, NBC, and CBS, no. A lot of people love their entertainment programming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
But they're just not viewed as reputable news networks.
Right.
Really, probably by either side.
No, it's a great point because I think the left lost confidence in them to be activists.
Yeah.
Because every time they are activists, but they're not the activists to the extreme that the left wants them to be anymore. And I think that's the problem they have with the left. I think that's why you see the erosion in the numbers in the ratings.
And so with the Russia collusion hoax that we all remember from 2016 and the Mueller report and everything, the dossier and all that stuff, that Trump is a traitor, and all the stuff in the dossier about the the P tape and just all the bizarre stuff, all was made up. And it was made up by the Hillary campaign. And you notice that Hillary isn't doing many interviews right now. It was all made up.
Right.
And you and I went through about a week ago. We went through the possibilities about where this could all lead. And we had said, who was it when Tulsi Gabbard came out last week, and we said, no. We understand you're sticking to the November, December 2016, January 2016 to 2017 timeline. You got to take everything and you've got to bring it back to July, because July is where the conspiracy starts.
Right.
July is when they knew of it. Well, let's put it this way. And this is an interesting point. July is when the intelligence agencies communicated to Obama that Hillary was going to set up Trump.
Yeah. July 2016.
Right.
Yep.
July 2016, which means that's when they communicated. When did they know? And what was the intercept? You know, all those things should be made public now.
Yeah.
And is that what they're going to release? Now, I just want to go through a couple of things yesterday. The first was John Solomon, because it was John Ratcliffe who a couple of weeks ago talked about that and said, we have the documents to show basically the ignition switch for all of this, which shows that Obama knew. And whether you read a couple of articles, Margot Cleveland, a great article, man, I'm telling you, it's like a puzzle, though, when you go through it all. Even if you're familiar with it, which we are, it's still like, okay, that part.
Yeah.
But the claim I was reading, was she in the Federalist? I think she was a Federalist. And then a couple of other articles out there yesterday talking about it, saying, no, these documents show Obama knew.
Yep.
Not only did Obama know, but Obama directed everything. And that's what you're going to see from the evidence that we have now and the evidence that's going to be presented once it's laid all out.
Right.
And we shall see. But here's John Solomon talking about what's going on. John Solomon from Just the News. He and Sarah A. Carter back in April of 2017, right?
Yeah. Yep. When they were with Circa News.
They were the ones that went back and looked at the fact that that the FBI had not been following protocol when doing FISA warrants.
Right.
For a significant period of time, going all the way back to when Mueller was director of the FBI. We covered it. Mainstream media, of course, didn't cover it. But he was talking yesterday about what John Ratcliffe said he will be releasing. Here we go.
We continue to watch the Russiagate scandal, what I call the grand conspiracy, because it really is a 10-year conspiracy. Two major developments. We expect CIA Director John Ratcliffe to release new declassified documents in the next 48 hours. What is it going to show? My sources say it will show that the FBI knew full and well that when they started Crossfire Hurricane and began investigating that it was nothing more than a ruse approved and actually manufactured by Hillary Clinton and her campaign. That those documents will leave no doubt. We already knew that President Obama knew that. The question we had was, did the frontline FBI people know that? We're going to get that answer in documents that John Ratcliffe, the CIA director, expects to declassify as soon as the next 48 hours. And then on another front, everybody go to Just the News around 8:30 tonight, justthenews.com. We're going to have a great story by my colleague, Jerry Dunleavy. It's going to give you the real political beliefs, the real thoughts of the woman, the CIA officer who wrote the Russian intelligence analysis, the rewritten one, not the one that was originally produced for Obama, but the one Obama ordered, saying that Vladimir Putin was trying to help Donald Trump win the election. We now know that the conclusion was significantly challenged, and there's good reason to doubt it. This woman's political views, her thoughts on the Steele dossier, and a whole lot more will shock you. Even though
and then Jonathan Turley talking about it also. Here we go.
What was just released, in my view, undermined the testimony of people like John Brennan. But what Ratcliffe is talking about is exposing it all to show the public exactly what happened. This is the real Russian conspiracy. There wasn't a Russian collusion conspiracy, but there was a Russian conspiracy. It's when John Brennan went into Obama in 2016 and said, we just heard Hillary Clinton is going to come up with a Russian collusion claim to hit Trump in the election. And then months later, it was Brennan, according to these documents, who overruled his own staff to get this infamous dossier included in the intelligence assessment. Yeah. What was just released.
Okay, sorry. It's on a loop, so it went back again. Let's hear more from Jonathan Turley on Fox News about this.
Well, it's going to go forward. What the CIA director just said has everyone on a bit of an edge in town, because this is going to be some of the raw data, some of the raw evidence that led to the conclusions of the recently declassified report. And that's going to be rather hard to rebut from many people in Congress and the media. The problem for Democrats and the media is that they're trying to run the same grift on the same marks. I mean, they're trying to tell the public, don't look at this stuff. There's nothing to see here. The public largely rejected that whole pitch when they reelected Donald Trump. And it's not going to really work. I mean, this is very damning stuff. I mean, what was just released, in my view, undermined the testimony of people like John Brennan. But what Ratcliffe is talking about is exposing it all to show the public exactly what happened. This is the real Russian conspiracy. There wasn't a Russian collusion conspiracy, but there was a Russian conspiracy. It's when John Brennan went into Obama in 2016 and said, we just heard Hillary Clinton is going to come up with a Russian collusion claim to hit Trump in the election. And then months later, it was Brennan, according to these documents, who overruled his own staff to get this infamous dossier included in the intelligence assessment.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We knew this, but we didn't have all the paperwork. And now what they're saying is we're going to provide the absolute evidence of the emails and paperwork that show that Obama knew, that they all knew.
Yeah.
They all knew.
Right.
Now, we had said this years ago. There's no way they could know, because we knew that the intelligence agencies, we knew that Brennan went to Obama and told Obama Hillary's going to try to set up Trump.
Yep.
Now, Jonathan Turley says there was no Russia collusion. Well, Iggy Danchenko, being a
technically there was
a Russian national who was instrumental in creating the dossier and a lot of information there in a drunk fest.
Yeah.
He's a Russian national. Now, he might not have been part of the Russian government, but again, looking at the Democrat standard for Russia collusion, we stand on solid ground if using the Democrat standard for Russia collusion.
Exactly.
Which is, if there's no evidence, there must be Russia collusion, and Trump is a traitor.
Right. Well, and we often say, be careful of just look at what they're accusing the other side of doing, and that's exactly what the left often is doing themselves. And we see this, and the thing about this is again, as you just mentioned, the documentation of all this, which is why we go back to the spring of 2017 with Sarah A. Carter and John Solomon when they were at Circa News, because they were bringing documents to their stories. I got to go back when Solomon went on to work for The Hill, and they started putting disclaimers on their story like, well, these are things, and the Hill doesn't stand by. Remember that whole thing?
I forgot about that.
Which is why he moved on from The Hill.
Yes.
I've got to go. I got to go back, because that whole rift. Man, I'd love to ask Solomon about that. That whole rift was, John Solomon had it wrong, and I'd have to see if specifically he got something wrong along the way, and then that was the case, and it was just one thing that he got wrong. I don't know. Or they just didn't like, it's more likely they didn't like the tone of where this was going. But as you follow along, it is important to see the documents. It is important. We didn't need all of the documents. But when you look at the documents, you're going, oh my gosh. This is real. This is real. And I think even to a certain extent with myself, having followed it from the beginning and seeing some of the documents on a few things here and there, and knowing full well what happened, going through those documents as they're presented, it's like, oh my gosh. And I've known it, again, you and I have followed it from the beginning. But it's still one of those things where I can't believe this is real. You knew it was real, but you're reading these documents, and it just brings this everything to the surface. Making people care about it, again, kind of the theme of this morning's show. Can't force people to care. But the truth is always there.
I mean, the Stanley comment that we read from X.
Yes. And the entire thing about the truth is that expose it. Those who wish to look at it will look at it. Those who don't care, you can't make them. But the truth should be told to the American people. Where it goes from here, I don't know. Is Obama going to wind up in jail? Nah, I doubt it.
No, they can use. I mean, even Trump said probably he can use immunity.
Yeah.
Trump said it
thanks to the Supreme Court decision.
A couple of days ago, but the one thing that we've been talking about again, perjury. Whether can you get perjury? What other crimes? Somebody wrote me the other day. Well, there's conspiracy for treason. Treason is specific in the Constitution, and we went through it the other day.
Right,
and nobody has pointed out yet. Even the most loyal supporters of Trump and fiercest critics of Hillary have not pointed out what the specific crimes would be, except really perjury for Brennan is what you've heard so far. Now, you and I did look at it and say, if they're going to use, because Ratcliffe, remember, he talked about racketeering, which would be RICO. And, can you look at the civil violation, the FEC violation that Hillary had, along with Kevin Kleinsmith and, him pleading guilty on the whole FISA warrant thing? Can you use that as the beginning of the actual conspiracy using, the RICO laws?
Right.
And then the right hand doesn't need to know what the left hand is doing.
Right.
You're just part of that enterprise to continue it all the way through impeachment. And my point would be not that could you get an indictment, is the question we asked. And we said, you might be able to get an indictment here. What I looked at more than anything was what Trump originally filed was a RICO civil suit. Could Trump sue every one of these damn people and bankrupt them completely if you cannot get criminal charges against the majority of them? And that's interesting because the RICO civil lawsuit was thrown out once by the court.
But now you have all this documentation.
Right. Now you've got evidence. If you've got this evidence coming out, it's a whole different ballgame. You're attempting to defame him by telling a lie.
Right.
Civil RICO, and nobody's talked about this. Civil RICO, I guess I'll ask as a question. Could that be a possibility? I don't know what the weakness of that argument is yet.
Yeah.
But it would seem pretty strong.
I would think so. It was definitely strengthened by recent events.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, the real interesting, entertaining stuff here about the Russia collusion hoax will be if these documents are slam dunk because they're emails and communications from the people themselves. What will the Democrats do at that point? What will they do at that point, especially now? I will say this: when I saw Lindsey Graham yesterday say they need a special counsel on this, did everybody else groan like we did?
Yeah, because the problem is when it goes into special counsel territory, it's like, Blah, blah, blah.
It's
blah,
gone for
blah.
2-3 years.
And then
Right.
everybody will have forgotten it. You go to special counsel on this, and it's going to disappear. It's just going to go off into Neverland.
It's 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you do it? Lindsey Graham said that yesterday or Sunday. I was like, shut up. I don't want a special counsel on this. I want congressional hearings on it.
Yep.
Because I don't need a special counsel. Because the problem is if you have a special counsel, then Congress says, well, we can't investigate it because the special counsel's doing it.
Exactly.
No.
Everything else stops.
Right. If you've got the actual evidence that is written in their own words, you don't need a special counsel for this.
No. Nope.
It delays it. It delays it 2.5 years because that's what normally it takes, right?
Yeah.
How long was Durham?
I think he started in 1973.
It's right after Watergate.
Feels like it. And that's the point. I had no doubt he was doing good work.
Mueller was like 2 years too, right?
Yep.
Just a little under 2 years.
Yeah. And so it goes away. The talk about it goes away. No. It needs to be on Capitol Hill, and we need hearings on this.
Listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Hurley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Hey, we never got to this yesterday, and I thought it was interesting. Americans spend nearly half their day online, splitting that time almost evenly between watching videos or TV shows and working, browsing, and shopping. The new survey was eye-opening. Why? Said Eric Bruno, Senior Vice President of Product Management for Optimum, a telecommunications firm that interviewed 2,000 U.S. residents who have a home internet subscription with any company for the poll. They were amazed to see how many hours folks are watching, shopping, and browsing online on a daily basis. It underscores how important a strong, affordable, and reliable internet has become in today's world. On average, this is the New York Post writing it, on average, screen zombie Americans. It stars Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, of course.
Spend more than 10 hours a day accessing the web. They spend 5.4 of those hours browsing, working, gaming, looking at social media, reading email, or paying bills, a survey found. They spend another 5 hours streaming video or TV content. A majority of people, 55%, use their television to stream shows or movies, followed by 20% with mobile phones and 25% combined using laptop or desktop computers or tablets. For general internet consumption, a majority of customers access service from their mobile phones or computers, while 44% do so from their TV. Besides streaming and videos and TV shows, nearly 80% of customers say they use the web to browse or pay bills. 73% scour social media. 72% shop online. 37% handle work assignments. 20% complete schoolwork. I spend 100% of my time doing all of those except schoolwork.
I should probably revisit schoolwork. I'm not in school, but it might help to brush up on some things.
Well, a good friend of mine told me a couple of years ago. I can define her because I had before on the show, and if she was listening, she'd go, "Yeah, that's accurate." My former stalker who became my realtor who became a minister.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you.
Well, at least she sounds like a good person.
She is. She's a.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in a long, long time, but she's doing.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot the point that I was trying to make here. What point was that? Oh man.
I was talking about brushing up on schoolwork, then going online.
Something about school.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot what it was.
Oh, maybe you should go back to school and learn it.
Darn it. Oh man. She is the one who told me that. I'll say this. She is the one that told me. It's completely off the topic, but she is the one that told me. She said, I know a lot of people, and a lot of people say they're happy being alone, but you actually are. And she said that in a good way, not in a bad way.
Yeah.
She said, you're happy if people are around, but you're just as happy if people aren't around.
Yeah.
What was it? What was it? It was something to do with the. It was something to do with streaming. But I'm, you and I, half our day.
Oh, it's pretty much
every waking hour.
Yeah, I'm on a device every waking hour. To some extent, every waking hour. I can't think of. I mean, unless I'm mowing the lawn. That's the only time, or unless I'm driving, which I have all of my devices on, and I've got the radio on. But I guess that doesn't count for being online. But my truck is actually online.
Well, you and I can safely say, are information addicts.
Yes,
I mean we really are.
Yeah.
As soon as I wake up, I grab my phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I'll wait. Like after the show's over, I'll go home, go to sleep. And as soon as I go home, I go to sleep. I used to stay up for 45 minutes to an hour. I go to sleep.
Yeah.
No. And as soon as I wake up, I grab the phone. And I can't tell you how probably out of the 5 days of the week, the work days, I'll probably when I wake up, I lay in bed for at least a half hour. And normally in the first 5 minutes on a normal day, I'll say, show's done.
Yeah.
And I just woke up.
Right.
I'm like, show's done for tonight.
Yep.
Just scanning. But then you go through the day and what you thought the show was going to be when you wake up is completely different from when I wake up at 10 o'clock at night to go to, to get ready to go to work.
Right.
But it's the, people, I remember the first thing I do when I wake up is I grab a cup of coffee and a cigarette. People used to say that. First thing I do is grab my phone before even any coffee, and I don't smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
And you're just, and it's just, I will admit, I'm addicted to it. I do all my, banking, bill paying, all the stuff that they throw out there. The TV, I stream way more than anything else.
Yeah, I don't.
I
don't have anything but streaming on all of my TVs now. So
yeah, I have all the streaming, and I've got I've got I have digital antennas for all of my TVs.
Well, even that, like the local stations now have their own app for smart TVs, and now I go to their app on my smart TV. If like local weather or something like that's going on, and they're live streaming that, I just launch the app on either my phone or on my TV. Because I don't watch any network shows. Everything is on streaming. Any shows that I do watch, which honestly, true crime documentaries here and there, but I just don't get a lot of time in for watching shows.
As for first run TV shows that are on the networks right now, the only one Oh, I told you about it the other day.
Hmm.
Because I couldn't believe it was her. And I discovered it on YouTube, though,
Mm-hmm.
the clips of it. And so I get Hulu free because of my phone. And so I think I've watched 3 of it. And what is it, High Something with Kate Olsen, one of the Olsen twins.
Oh, okay.
She's an adult. She's 30. She's 39, and she does a show where she's like the cleaning woman of a police station, but she has 160 IQ,
Mm-hmm.
and of course she becomes an expert at looking at crime scenes. And I watched the first 3 shows. She got irritating by the 3rd show, but she's supposed to be irritating. The character's irritating, and I'll still watch it. But I binged over. Well, for me, binging is watching 1 hour of a show a day.
Yeah.
Like for 3 days, I watched it, but that was still on streaming. I will probably never see the show in its regular run on TV. I don't know of any show that I'm watching right now that is actually on the networks right now. I don't watch anything live.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but everything, laptop, I have a laptop and a desktop. I turn on the the desktop once every 6 months, and it stays on for 2 weeks to update Windows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I turn on my laptop about once a month to update it.
Yeah.
But everything is my phone and TV.
Yeah.
And, of course, I've got, the phone with the stylus and all that. So
Right.
it is like a mini iPad. But an iPad's too big for me. And I'm in the store. You see me standing in line I'm on my phone. I know you're the same way. If I go 5 minutes or 10 minutes without news, it's like, I don't know, it's like a cocaine addict who needs that next hit in 15 minutes.
Well,
It really is. But it's news related. If it was 30 years ago and I kept buying newspapers and each edition, would anybody think I was weird if I was in this business? No.
no, I mean, it is like watching the old news wire at stations. We had the rip and read wire that, if something was going on, all of a sudden it started making noise and printing something off. It's like, oh, something's happening. No, the AP is just doing their afternoon update. Ah, dang it. But today's world, you could miss a lot by setting your phone down. Well, by mowing your lawn. 90 minutes outside, you come back in and what?
No, that's the only rest I have from the media is lawn work.
Yeah.
I may still have my earbuds on listening to music,
Yeah.
but that's the only time that I'm not searching for news or reading something. And the one thing that it's the one negative of it all, and I've got I think I've got 5 or 6 books lined up. I just don't have the time for recreational reading anymore. That bothers me.
Right. Yeah.
The news cycle changes, and I was explaining it to my sister today. I was talking to my sister before I talked to my dad, and she was just asking me about a bunch of stuff. She was reading read the article that on us on our 20th anniversary that we talked about yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and she said, "Well, what time do you do your show prep?" And I went, "All day."
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
It doesn't. She goes, "Doesn't that bother you?" And I went, "No, I'm like an addict. I have to admit."
Well, and that's
because there is that urge. There's
Yeah.
that urge.
That's become my recreational reading.
Yeah, there are some books that I'm trying to read that I just don't get a chance to, and I don't really read. I don't read fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do is some kind of biography or whatever. I just
Right.
I just don't. So, but I was thinking that also, when they talk about scour social media, I do too, but it's simply to see what the opinions are out there. Shop online. Here's one for you. there I am doing lawn work the other day. Okay. And even though I put down the fire ant killer, I could see around the perimeter of my lot some fire ant, fire ants. No mounds, but some fire ants. I'm like, okay, I may need to get some more fire ant killer, just a mound killer, And I went, also I got to fertilize the lawn next week. All right, I'll go up to the store in a little bit. And I went, wonder if Amazon sells it. 4 hours later, both are at the door.
Yeah.
And cheaper than going to the store.
And saves a lot of time.
Including shipping. Well, exactly. It saved me 45 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour to do that. And so when people do it, but wow, they're all addicted to their phones. Why? I mean, why am I addicted to my phone? Is it because I'm hoping to get a date?
Or you're just scrolling through cat videos or something like that.
Right,
or,
exactly. No.
Or you doing something productive. I think a lot of people are doing things that make their life more efficient.
More efficient and productive, right?
To some
exactly.
extent. Yeah.
Not everybody, though. 866-90-RED-I.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. And then, just scanning the internet, because now I'm actually looking. I've got a desktop here. I forgot I'm looking at this. I got the desktop in front of me right now.
Right.
And sometimes looking at the internet and being online is for entertainment purposes only. Like I see this, and I went, that's entertaining. Somebody posted this on X. Trump is appointing incompetent people to serve in the government. Those are the actual words of Pete Buttigieg.
Okay.
Yay! Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Oh, the entertainment just continues.
I love it.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA, I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. We are Red Eye Radio. Hi.
Hello.
I'm looking at Golf Force One again. Now, what do you think?
Order two.
Under the hood. Is it gasoline? Is it diesel? Is it electric? Can't be electric.
Nah, you don't want electric. I'm guessing gasoline.
Now, one of the things that I love is when I go to the golf course and you jump in and you realize you got a gas golf cart. Because they take off. The worst ones are the electric ones that have a governor. No. You floor it. It's like, no, you're not going to. Sorry, 7 miles an hour is as fast as you're going to go.
The armored Polaris, now this is according to AI, so we'll see if it's true. The armored Polaris Ranger X UTV, nicknamed Golf Force One, is powered by a Polaris Ranger Crew XP 1000 North Star Edition Ultimate Engine.
That's a long title.
Yeah. That's a lot of branding that goes into that. Let's see if I can find the engine part of it. Mm-hmm.
How many horsepower are you thinking that thing?
20.
That's a lot. That would be a lot for a vehicle like that. Except how heavy is it? Because it's got, it's armor plated and I'm sure bulletproof glass, right?
Yeah.
What about the normal golf cart? Because it follows Trump. The normal golf cart that he's riding, is that bulletproof glass in the front? I just wonder.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I assume it is, but if it's not. See, when I read the headline Golf Force One or Special Protective Golf Course or Golf Cart, whatever I saw, I thought, oh, it's going to look like the Pope Mobile.
With the bubble.
It's just going to have the, bulletproof glass on all sides, that kind of thing. No, this is much cooler. I don't know what. Let's see. I'll have to see what the.
All right, you do that while I'll hit this story.
All right.
The Department of Justice has filed an official complaint alleging misconduct by a U.S. District Court Chief Judge, James Boasberg. We know who he is. Fox News has reviewed the complaint, which was written by the Attorney General Chief of Staff and addressed to the Chief Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Fox News has learned the complaint was written and filed at the direction of the Attorney General. Bondi, the Department of Justice respectfully submits this complaint alleging misconduct by the U.S. District Court Chief Judge James Boasberg for making improper public comments about President Donald Trump to the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court and other federal judges that have undermined the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Judge Boasberg is presiding over a high-profile case involving the deportation of several migrants to El Salvador and has talked about holding Department of Justice lawyers in contempt because of his assertion that his order to turn airborne planes around and was not followed. President Trump has also made critical comments about Judge Boasberg. The complaint details 2 occasions on which Boasberg made comments the Justice Department alleges undermines the integrity and impartiality of the judiciary. Now listen to this. Okay. On March 11th, Judge Boasberg attended a session of the Judicial Conference of the United States, which exists to discuss administrative matters like budgets, security, and facilities. While there, Judge Boasberg attempted to improperly influence Chief Justice Roberts and roughly 24 other federal judges by straying from the traditional topics to express his belief that the Trump administration would disregard rulings of federal courts and trigger a constitutional crisis. Although his comments would be inappropriate, even if they had some basis, they were even worse because Judge Boasberg had no basis. The Trump administration has always complied with the court orders, nor did Judge Boasberg identify any purported violations of court orders to justify his unprecedented predictions. Within days of those statements, Judge Boasberg began acting on his preconceived belief that the Trump administration would not follow court orders. This is something that we focused on, by the way, and said you can't do that. First, although he lacked authority to do so, he issued a temporary restraining order preventing the government from removing the gang members, which the Supreme Court's vacated eventually. Taken together, Judge Boasberg's words and deeds violates canon of the Code of Conduct for the United States judges and erode public confidence in judicial neutrality and warrant a formal investigation. The DOJ is asking the chief judge to refer the complaint to a special investigative committee as an inquiry is essential to determine whether Boasberg's conduct constitutes conduct prejudicial to the effective and expeditious administration of business of the courts. The complaint also asks that Judge Boasberg be taken off the case involving Venezuelan migrants who were deported to El Salvador to prevent further erosion of public confidence while the investigation proceeds. For example, you can't be a judge over a case and be out talking about it in public to everybody and other judges about it. You can't do that.
Right.
This is the second time the Department of Justice has filed an official complaint against a federal judge. In late January, the Department of Justice filed a complaint on U.S. District Judge Anna Rees concerning what the DOJ called the misconduct during the proceedings in Nicholas Talbert versus Donald Trump. Is a case brought by two LGBTQ groups challenging the Trump administration's executive orders barring transgender individuals from serving in the U.S. military. News of the complaint comes at a time when the Trump administration has gone after so-called activist judges who have blocked or paused some of Trump's sweeping executive orders from taking force in his second White House term. Did you see that the one judge on Planned Parenthood, you see what she wrote? I'm paraphrasing here, but it was basically, well, if this goes through, then somebody can't get an abortion.
Right.
Paid for. It was like, well,
Yeah.
that was the purpose of it.
Right.
It's like, well, you can't do that. The one beauty about Trump doing all this is it is so crystal clear. If the Supreme Court ever had any doubts about the partisanship and the activism of so many federal judges, they're seeing clearly now that it exists and is there. And that's the one thing that Trump has done. He's exposed how blatant the partisanship is of the judges.
Yeah.
That it's not about interpreting the law. It's about them doing whatever the hell they feel like doing, whenever the hell they feel like doing
It's
it.
their agenda full on.
And you and I talked about this for a long time where it was like Trump was criticized. You don't criticize judges. You don't criticize prosecutors. To hell you don't.
Well, yeah, you do.
We've often said there are crooked politicians. There are politicians that do things wrong. There are also judges who do things wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also prosecutors that do things wrong.
Yep.
To sit there and say you can't criticize them because then there might be violence. Well, then you don't criticize anybody.
Right.
And because we criticize someone does not mean you commit a violent act against them.
Well,
please stop that.
And that standard held for the longest time with far too many people. Well, we can't speak of why not? In fact, you're supposed to be doing that at every turn. You should question everything. And again, for far too long, it was the case that, we'll just, the judge said it. It must be true. It must be the case. I respectfully disagree with the judge, but what are you going to do? And, and that's, we've heard them speak out loud, especially on the left, about what they think their role is in the courts. You can't let that go on. That must be stopped.
No one is beyond criticism.
Nope.
No one.
No.
Not in a free society. Okay. Semi-free society.
Still somewhat free society. And I think it's part of that entire big game, though. It's the entire play for years. During the Obama years, and we're learning this with Russiagate. Well, you don't question things at the top level of the CIA or the FBI or certainly not in the FISA courts because, well, who's going to know? You don't question this, you don't question that. Well, we've been questioning as soon as we started learning things about it. Early on, we question. And then people just act like it's some weird, it really is like the Matrix. It's like, well, no, because, my life isn't disrupted. They're saying things over here. I don't want to get involved in all of this. There's nothing going on there because I can't see it. It's not happening because I don't know it's there. I don't want to know it's there. Don't tell me it's Joey Pants in the Matrix. I know I'm not eating steak right now, but it sure tastes like steak. Ignorance is bliss. And that's how I think a lot of people went through life. And during the Obama years, that was part of it. So it is no wonder that we got to the point that the FBI had practically set up a second headquarters at Twitter. They were controlling the messaging at every turn. And they were doing it from the very top. Not just the Russian hoax, but the laptop story. Everything along the way, they were in control of. Zuckerberg talked about it. They came to him on the, we think some things are going to be coming down. And we want you to throttle these accounts that are, because this is misinformation by foreign entities. All of that was a lie. They had full control of all of it. It wasn't just the Russian hoax. And once you control the language and the conversation, well, that's more than half the battle. And that's how you get to a point more and more that people look at it and go, oh, well, that can't be the case because I can't see it happening. I don't see it in front of my eyes every day, so it's not happening. And that's tragic for a free society. And it's how a free society fails. It's how a free society becomes one that is controlled by very powerful entities. And you don't have to wear a tinfoil hat to see what's going on here. You don't have to put on special glasses, Roddy Piper, to see
they live
who the aliens are. Who is walking every day amongst us and trying to control things. This is one of the greatest things about the exposure of the Russian hoax. But it includes judges along the way that help things like this happen. It's not limited to the Russian hoax. It should be an eye-opener as to what kind of power they can have if we let them have that power.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. Drivers must always be prepared for a roadside inspection. This means drivers should always have their personal, vehicle, and company credentials organized and ready, and having any shipment paperwork such as bills of lading or hazardous material shipment emergency response information organized and ready for the inspection official. Just an FYI, the top 2 violations written against drivers every year, as well as during Operation Road Check, are log general form and manner and log not current. Both are completely avoidable if the driver keeps the log accurate, compliant, and current at all times. Having the vehicle ready for inspection involves the driver conducting daily inspections and making sure any problems that are discovered are immediately corrected. Vehicle readiness also requires the company to make sure that the vehicle is current on all scheduled maintenance and that the maintenance schedule is adequate. This will make sure the driver is being given a sound vehicle to start with. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
Tonight Radio, he's Eric Carly and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, the three branches of government, as we've talked about, the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judiciary. Well, the mindset was almost, you can criticize two of them, but not the judiciary. Well, of course you can.
Yeah.
If you can analyze what judges are doing. Of course you can as an American citizen, and you should do so if you believe that they are doing something legally wrong. But I was thinking with the whole, just during the break there, with the whole, you know, what's his name? Kessler. What's his name? First name? Oh, I forgot his first name.
Glenn Kessler?
Glenn Kessler, the fact checker. It was almost the same thing as when the left first came out with the fact checkers. Like they were, trying to do these heavenly voices.
Right.
Like the fact checkers rose above everybody else. Pay
Right.
attention to it. But the fact checker says, and as we said from day one, it looks like probably the fact checkers need a fact checker. So we're going to be the fact checkers of the fact checkers that make us even more elite. We are actually higher up there because we're the fact checkers of the fact checkers.
Well, yeah, I mean, they made it seem like it was some weird scene out of Lord of the Rings or something. You know, Frodo, did you check with the fact checker before you took the ring? It's, you know.
And now nobody pays attention.
Exactly.
Fact checker, who the hell cares?
Nobody cares.
Fact checking what? I got to fact check you. I don't
I've
trust
got
you.
Google myself. I can look into it. And that's, you know, I think part of it, too, is that people look at it and say, well, I don't care what that person tells me. I'm going to believe what I believe. I'm going to believe, you know, if I care enough, I'll look for the facts. I'll look more into it. If not, it doesn't matter to me anyway. If I don't care about the truth, it doesn't matter. If I do, I know how to find it. And I don't know why you would, if you're in the media, why you would even employ a fact checker. We've been kind of joking about Glenn Kessler for a while, saying, sorry, dude, the gig is up.
And he took a buyout yesterday, just
Yeah.
so people don't know this. So he's done.
Daytime is overrated. Nights are where it's at. With Gary and Eric on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. By the way, if you're wondering what we're talking about, because we brought up fact checkers, Glenn Kessler, who was really one of the first fact checkers when you think about it, because he's been around for 15 years, took a buyout from the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Because democracy dies with Washington Post fact checkers.
That's right. Democracy dies with layoffs.
And so he's out. I did see somewhere where they're looking for a new fact checker, though. What are the requirements of a fact checker?
Know how to Google.
Or be a political activist. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Be a political activist.
Oh, I thought that was a given because it's the Washington Post.
Take the well, no, take the blunt truth and tear it up into a million pieces, and then say, well, it's not the complete truth because this person, like we have said, when if you the fact checkers would do things like, who was it? The one presidential candidate, the woman, Carly Fiorina, who was a secretary. She said, yeah, I started out, I was a secretary.
Yeah.
And they gave her 3 out of 4 Pinocchios. He did because, well, yeah, she was a secretary, but that's not what she wanted to be. Okay. It's like, I started out cleaning, Gary McNamara said he started out cleaning toilets. Let's fact check this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was his first W-2 job, but it's not what he always wanted to be.
Not the first thing he was ever paid to do.
Right, right, right.
His
Exactly.
older brother paid him to lie to his parents.
No. I cut grass. He cut grass. He said it was his first job. It wasn't his first job. Cutting grass was the first job. We rate him 27 Pinocchios. We won't get him to the bottomless pit. Now that's one thing where he was accurate.
Yeah.
Let's not just be totally negative about Glenn Kessler. There was the bottomless pit for Biden.
Right. And apparently it was
The bottomless pit.
for claims that have been rated as 3 or 4 Pinocchios and have been repeated at least 20 times. That was the standard for the bottomless Pinocchio.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. And they gave Biden one. Well, but how many bottomless Pinocchios would Biden have? If it's the same, because that basically says telling the same lie at least 20 times, right? Well, but Biden's been telling a whole series of lies for years. At least 20 times. So you could get into that and say, well, he's bottomless. But yeah, it's the one claim, and that goes back to 2023, was on the deficit. And so it gave him, and we brought it up then, talking about the deficit and all that. But that earned Biden the bottomless Pinocchio. Sounds like something you want to get or don't want to get from a restaurant.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, you've earned bottomless Pinocchios. I don't think I want it. You've earned tater tots for life. No, thank you.
All right, so you and I, we've had this discussion really since 2018. When I made the statement after 2018, if you don't think that I've ever said that I've been wrong, in 2018 I said, after the election, I said, Democrats cannot continue to go on this path. They just can't. They've got to reverse it. That was 2018. We are now in 2025. Not only did they not take my advice, but they have, I don't know, to the 10th power gone bat soup crazy.
Right.
And the CNN poll, but about 10 days ago, and then the Wall Street Journal poll has been all over the place. CNN covering it. Here's CNN talking about I think this is a Wall Street Journal poll, and maybe it's also the CNN poll as they talk about, foreign policy in general and how Trump is polling compared to the Democrats.
This one was a surprising one to me, given everything that's going on in Russia, what happened in Iran, what happened in Gaza. But the bottom line is Democrats in the American voters' minds cannot hack it. What are we talking about? Party trust to more on foreign policy. Well, the GOP holds an average 6-point lead in the month of July. Look at this. Fox News came out last week, plus 3 points for Republicans on foreign policy over the Democrats. You think that number is not high enough for you? How about the Wall Street Journal? GOP plus 8 points when they match congressional Democrats up against congressional Republicans. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large.
Now, the question I would have is, why is he surprised by that?
Yeah, he sounds shocked.
Yeah, after Iran, why would he be surprised?
Right.
As I said, I don't remember, and I've been paying attention to politics for 55 plus years. I don't remember anything like an attack like we did in Iran that a week later nobody was talking about it because there was really nothing to criticize.
Right.
I don't remember. And so when Harry Enton said, I'm surprised by this. And then there was a lot of discussion on also the Wall Street Journal poll that showed, for example, on the economy, GOP plus 12, inflation, GOP plus 10, immigration, GOP plus 17, illegal immigration, GOP plus 24. That sort of blows a hole in the, who was it? Neera Tanden, who served in the Biden administration. We did the article yesterday where she said, oh, we can beat the Republicans on immigration. What we have to do is we need to be strong on the border. We need to straighten out asylum. We just can't let people come in for any reason for asylum. And we need legal immigration.
And she called it our plan. And we're like, what do you mean our? That's your plan.
Yeah. I don't hear the Democrats promoting that at all. But you see that immigration, not illegal immigration, immigration, GOP plus 17.
Yeah.
And it may be who can handle it better, the GOP or Democrats, but the GOP is Trump.
Yeah.
Sorry, but the GOP, when people look at what are they accomplishing, what did Trump do? He's the leader of the GOP. Foreign policy, GOP plus 8. Ukraine-Russia war, GOP plus 5.
Right.
I mean, those are absolutely unbelievable numbers. And let me get to the point where I wanted to get. Yeah, so now I saw this article from NPR. Pete Buttigieg warns Democrats can't go back to status quo after President Trump because they're trying to figure out what they can do. This is a big, not canoodle, that was the Coldplay concert.
Yeah.
This is a big conundrum.
Yeah, right.
Not canoodle, conundrum.
Right.
Not canoodling, but conundering.
Mm-hmm.
Republicans won the 2024 election through a strategy that included an enormous number of podcast appearances. Now Democrats are debating their future election strategy, and a lot of discussion is taking place on podcasts.
Not podcasts.
I'm sorry. If I was a editor, I go, could you wipe out that? Could you get to the point? Wipe that out. You're making it sound like they went on podcast, and now we're going on podcasts.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, gosh, it's the podcast. That's it. If we could only have our Joe Rogan. You had your Joe Rogan. You may be getting him back on some of the opinions he's been taking the last couple of weeks.
You might.
Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut has been talking for months on NPR and elsewhere about a Democratic Party that's more populist, attacking parts of the political system that don't work for most people, and loudly pushing back against the Trump administration. Give me damn specifics. Rahm Emanuel, longtime party leader, went on Megyn Kelly's podcast and rejected some of the party orthodoxy on social issues. He was one guy. He's not the Democratic Party. Other liberal authors have appeared on a stream of podcasts to promote their book, Abundance, arguing that progressive policies have stood in the way of a progressive government. They just can't. They can't be blunt, can they? And just say, we suck on the issues.
Right.
Here's where we need to stand on the issues now. Every single issue, we were wrong.
Right.
We need to stand on this now.
Yeah.
The thing is, nobody's going to believe them. Just like nobody believed when Harris came out and said, God, I'll never forget that. That was unbelievable. You and I were looking at each other, and we talked about it on our 20th anniversary show.
Yeah.
When we said the things that we look back at where we go, we'll never forget that. I'll never forget it. I think it was 2 days after I'm going to say she took the nomination. She took the appointment as presidential nominee for the Democrats, and all of a sudden that commercial came out on immigration. Donald Trump, not serious on the border. Kamala Harris, she'll secure the border. She'll make sure illegals don't cross the border. I mean, you and I were watching that and dying laughing, and we said, nobody is going to buy that. No one. And the fact is, the Democrats have gone on, Eric, for so long on these insane issues, nobody's going to believe it. Do you think anybody's going to believe if Buttigieg comes out and says, men should not be playing women's sports, and we do not believe as a party that men can become a woman because a man says so. Also, we're going to drop identity politics, and we no longer plan to judge people by groups, but by individuals. Does anybody believe that? Does any Democrat believe that?
No. And they're not going to look. Rahm Emanuel basically said it the other day, and he even said, he joked about needing witness protection. He needs to be in the witness protection program now that he said these things.
I'm going to call this the porridge strategy, because remember the three bears on the porridge and all
right,
that, right?
Yeah,
yeah. And do I have that right? Is it the three bears and the porridge? This is just right, or whatever.
Yeah, the Goldilocks.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But this is.
By the way, steel cut oats these days healthier than porridge.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, with too many
locally
carbs.
sourced, organic,
low carb,
fair trade.
It's like the status quo wasn't working when Democrats took power in 2021. Many viewed it as a restoration project. This is him talking. Repairing and strengthening the institutions that Trump had damaged. Buttigieg no longer sees that as a fully realistic or even desirable goal. The Democrats, he said, have been too attached to the status quo that has been failing us for too long. That's one of the reasons Buttigieg gives for the party's defeat. He talks about embracing change. It's wrong to burn down the Department of Education, but I think it's actually wrong to suppose that the Department of Education just got it right in 2024. You could say the same thing about U.S. aid. It's unconscionable that children were left to die by the abrupt destruction of U.S. aid, which is BS, unconscionable. But it's also wrong to suppose that if the Democrats come back to power, our project should be to just tape the pieces together just the way that they were. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're just trying to split the difference without being specific.
That's it.
He thinks that's a strategy. Well, you got to get to specifics. You can't do it, Buttigieg.
Nope, you can't.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today. Why? Well, our show ends in an hour, and after our show is over, it becomes our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
The whole show becomes a podcast. So if you've missed parts of the show, you can catch it. And if for some reason you cannot listen, and this is our preferred way to the entire show on one of our great radio stations, and we appreciate all of them, great radio stations for carrying us. We stream all 5 hours live on our Red Eye Radio app. The other thing is, with Buttigieg here talking about what the Democrats have to do, he wants to push back on the politics of fear, that the other side pushes the politics of fear. Anybody remember when John Kelly called Trump a fascist and Neil Cavuto asked him specifically, Buttigieg, do you think Trump's a fascist? He says, well, I wouldn't disagree with Kelly's, analysis.
Right.
It's like, stop it. You're a fearmonger too.
Yes,
It's like
in the biggest way.
This whole thing, let's push back on the politics of fear. Shut it.
That's all they do on the left.
I know.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.